Hey everybody, welcome to Monday night. We're going to try to make Monday nights great. We got a great guest, Billy Newton from Newton Makes is going to be on. He's got 2 YouTube channels we'll talk about, and we will talk to him about his history in woodworking, about his YouTube experience, and see what's going on with Billy. If you're here on replay, you may want to fast forward about 10 minutes. But if you're here live, let's enjoy the countdown.
Just buying that software isn't what makes the difference. You've got to learn to use that tool, just like you've got to learn to use your high-end Powermatic woodworking tools or Festool for Sedge out there.
So I think you got to kind of leverage all of it.
And I just realized this is a new camera. I didn't take off the protective plastic over it, so I don't know if that was blurry or not for you. Oops.
Oh, hey, look at that.
In your little intro, which was very well put together, as I was sitting backstage and you had all these little clips from your previous guests, there was lots of good information in there. But somebody mentioned, just finding that thing that you love and do the thing you love. Don't make things that you don't like making.
In terms of growing a business, especially a business where you make things, is make the things you want to sell. I want to say Brad Rodriguez said this many times a while back, where it's like, if you don't want to sell cutting boards, stop making cutting boards. If you want to sell tables, make some tables and sell them at a loss if you have to, just to get some tables out there you sold. You attract clients that you can show you've actually made a thing. If you're trying to sell couches, don't keep making coasters telling people you can make couches. Make some couches.
A lot of times, usually when people start out on YouTube or when they're building a YouTube channel, they'll feel like their energies, if it's a scale of 1 to 10, they'll feel like they're at like an 8 or a 9, and they'll be like, woohoo! But then when they actually watch themselves on camera, it's actually more like a 2 or 3.
We do take sponsors, especially as a lot of the smaller channels. And there's 2 ways that they talk about sponsorship. Sponsorship is someone paying you to do something, and the other one is getting free tools and stuff.
Launch day is my favorite day. That is my favorite day of the week. I just absolutely love launching videos and getting the feedback. So yeah, that's most videos take 4 to 5 full days to make. And I would like to streamline that. I would like to put out more videos in a week.
It's really kind of sad because I didn't get involved even when he was doing the noodle boards. He pretty much did all that. I did everything in the house so that he could stay in the shop a lot.
I am a little conflicted, I think. It initially started off with just sharing like my sewing machines and sewing tips and stuff like that. And then it kind of morphed into sharing the Mastering Mayhem merch items that I was making. And then along the way, I kind of shared some DeWalt tool and obsessions that I've had.
Hats off to Ira. I mean, I can't imagine doing it with small kids. That's a lot of work.
Well, this is a little chaotic, so.
My part really didn't start until Live Edge started. When we started Live Edge, I don't know, I felt different about everything. It felt real to me. I think everything started feeling real to him, after the first few months because he was in the shop. It didn't really feel real to me until Live Edge started. And now I see this as my future too. I don't think I'll be a teacher much longer.
Because I wasn't quite niched enough. But I think because my channel name is I Don't Even Work Here, I think I'm just going to roll with.
I'm going to put out some shorts for stage.
One thing I'm good at probably more than anything else is business and understanding the way businesses work and how to run a business. And I always come at from very much the money ball approach. I don't want to hit home runs. I just want to get on base and get on base and get on base.
And I think it's easier for people to look at my story, for example, or anybody like in a similar story and think that was an easy decision. And I can't state how much that was a very hard decision for both my wife and I.
I like the premise of doing a tool review, comparing 2 tools, and especially if they are popular tools.
You can make the life you want to, you can make the business you want to, whatever it is you want to make.
It wasn't like YouTube's good and this and that. Like I was still pretty new to YouTube and didn't know that was sustainable long term, and so it was a gamble. And I'd worked for a long time to get in the position I was at, and it was a very, very hard decision to basically give that up for potentially the rest of my life.
I never even considered the second channel. I just think that all of my content needs to go where I am.
It's a lot of risk and fear, but moving through those deliberately.
There's a system to it, and you follow that system.
So what have you learned and done to try to change? And so that's the thing I always do is it's a continuous process of evolution.
Scheduling and trying to edit and get a video out, like it's really hard to follow exactly. If you do that and do it consistently, it'll generate views.
Interesting, a lot of times you might see channels or businesses that are frustrated because they're not growing, and you look and you realize that for years or dozens of iterations, you look at the most recent and you go back a few years or a few dozen iterations and there's zero change.
I'd like to see channels evolve into more of like a channel, like we're traditional like TV channel, where you have a channel, but there's different shows within that channel. And, you know, you could have the segment for your shorts or your live streams and your longs, you know, all these different things. And people can kind of just pick and choose what they want to watch.
And my goal isn't to get the most views on YouTube. My goal is, you know, to provide confidence, inspiration, and knowledge through entertaining and engaging content. So
what's the next step? What is the next thing? What's going to get you to that next place?
You got to get them to click. You got to get them to watch. I'm terrible at thumbnails. I hate doing them. I would stress so bad over doing them. I've actually hired somebody else to do them now. That's why they look different. I'm not doing them anymore. I took that out of my hands, and I'm stress-free on that part.
Another thing is also onboarding people that are better than me at something. So I have an editor I've been working with for about 2 years now.
One day it just kind of hit me that, okay, I watch a lot of these videos and I obviously find value in them. Why can I not be the person on the other side of the camera, right? Providing the content and the information.
With me being a business-minded individual and trying to make sure that I'm providing for my family, but also always growing.
Our audience smells authenticity, and whether or not you're enjoying what you do very easy.
I'll always be that individual that loves YouTube, that always wants to do extremely detailed videos on how to build.
I feel like the biggest challenge is probably getting yelled at to put on protective.
I'm still focused on my woodworking. I'm focused on trying to get better. I just want to try new things and break barriers and just be the best woodworker I can be, and then document that. I just don't really have the time or desire to really become a student of YouTube. So I'm always playing catch up. I'm always just doing the best I can to get the most out of what we're doing, but I am no student of YouTube, that's for sure.
A good plan of attack is to create a channel on YouTube or an account on YouTube that you don't have any ties to. You've never watched anything on there, and just start watching content you're interested in on that channel. Don't watch the news, or don't click off and start watching, you know, the latest episode or whatever. Just use that account strictly for that, and that'll kind of start drumming up what's being surfaced to people. And then from there, you can kind of...
You know, as far as equipment goes, and I say this adamantly all the time, there is nothing I've ever made that I couldn't make by hand. You know, and I have a skill set that I've developed that I could make it by hand. Does having a CNC make it faster? You bet it does.
The big change that I've seen is that people have gotten even shorter attention spans than normal. So if you are going to start a YouTube channel and you're going to start recording yourself working, keep the pace really, really fast. People get bored super quick, and when they get bored, they either start tapping those arrow keys to speed through the video, or else they'll just drag the slider across the screen so that they can speed through and skip to the end and see what you've built. But if you want to engage them throughout the whole video, you've got to keep the pace really, really fast.
Basically structure your channel so that you generate more views. They watch one video, they're going to watch the next, the next, the next. If you look, and you can tell the difference I can see it in my analytics. I can see it in the way my channel's structured.
The first thing that I would recommend to anybody, and this of course applies to any niche that you're looking to start a channel for, is before you even take the first steps in terms of researching and all that, which we'll talk about in a second, I would have a really honest conversation with yourself about what you're looking to get out of the channel and what your expectations are.
As a rule of thumb, post-production takes 6 times recorded footage length. Not shoot time, but recorded footage length. So if you record a 5-minute clip. It's going to take you a minimum of 30 minutes to edit that 5-minute clip, even if you only edit down into 30 seconds, because you have to watch it, then you make some notes, and then you watch it again, you make some cuts, and you watch it again, and then when it fits into the timeline, by a rule, you're going to see that same clip roughly 6 times.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Let's make Monday nights great. I got a great guest for you, Billy Newton. He's going to be on with us in just a minute. I want to remind you that the chat is where it's at. I believe that if you are attending a live stream, if you chat with us and chat with each other, you get more out of it, because like a lot of things in life, you get out what you put into it. And so I think the more we chat, the more we can celebrate together. So I encourage you to share milestones with us, whether that be a YouTube milestone or some other type of milestone in your life. Someone was born, someone got out on parole, whatever the case may be. Put an M at the beginning of the chat. It helps me find it so we can get you recognized for your milestone in life. And if you if you want to ask a question, please do start the chat comment with a Q. Helps me find it. So we try to get all of your questions answered. I appreciate you being here tonight. Billy Newton from Newton Makes is going to be with us. I wanted to share something with you. If any of you have ever thought about ordering a t-shirt online, a custom t-shirt, I'm not affiliated with them. I'm not sponsored in any way, but I just ordered one from Sticker Mule and thought I would quickly open it with you and see how it turned out. It's with custom design. It comes with a little card from them and about how to design with Studio, and it comes with a couple of sample stickers. There's the mule and a sticker with Sticker Mule on it. So I've ordered stickers from them in the past. I've ordered a t-shirt from them in the past, and I just thought I'd share this one with you. So just came in. Let's see how it turned out. So, wow. It looks like I lost my camera feed, so I'm not sharing anything with you. Let me try to fix that, and I will share it with you at another time. I apologize for the technical difficulties. So while I work on that, let's go ahead and bring on our guest so you'll have a face to see on screen. Welcome, Billy Newton from Newton Makes. Billy, how you doing?
Good. I feel like I've got to carry the weight now. I'm the
You
one.
do. You are a star, and therefore you need to be center camera. You're the only one up there. But I appreciate you coming on, and I apologize about the difficulties. We tested this right before we got started, and I thought everything was okay.
I gave you my problems because, like I told you before, mine was working, that it wasn't. Now it is. Congratulations.
Yeah, no problem. I'm going to work on this, but while we do that, let me ask you, Billy, first of all, thanks again for coming on. You've been having some good success on YouTube, and you've recently done some videos that I've really enjoyed. I always enjoy your videos with where you're making the boxes or tray and that kind of thing. I think people neglect the beauty and complexity that can go into and come from a wooden box. What is that? Are boxes one of your favorite projects, or is that something you just need around the house, or what motivates you to share some of your skills through making a box?
I definitely don't need any more, but for some, I love making boxes. and I get that question a lot of like, why do you make so many boxes? And I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? I think it's because you never know what's inside. And as somebody who grew up with Indiana Jones, those are the best movies ever made. You know, like you don't know what treasure is going to be inside. And I just always gravitated towards boxes, different sizes, like what's going to be inside that box. And, you know, as soon as I was able to make one, then I was screwed. After that, I was just going to make a ton of them. So, I try not to make it so the entire channel's boxes, but I could easily do that because I just enjoy making them.
All right. Hey, can you hear me too?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Awesome. All right. Yeah. So I think the boxes are great. I like the tray you made recently, and you always share things in a relatable way and make the projects approachable. Now, in your videos, you've talked a little bit about your history when you started making things as a kid. Can you share that with us? How did you get into making and so forth?
I think with a lot of woodworkers, you know, a lot of us don't have like this hard start date of like, hey, this is when I started. So I started making stuff whenever I was a kid. I remember having like a wood burning kit, probably way too young to have a wood burning kit, you know, yeah, so you could catch your blinds on fire or burn your fingers or whatever. I used to make wooden signs and stuff, and started making like derby cars. And, you know, from 7, 8, 9 years old, I was making stuff and just continued. And then as you know, you become an adult and you get a house, and then you're doing more like carpentry and other things. And, you know, it just kind of progressed, and you buy a bigger tool, and you buy a bigger tool. And then, you know, you look around and you go, wow, okay, I got something going on here. So, I never had that hard start date. It just sort of naturally progressed, but I always loved making things, art, drawing, painting, whatever I could do. And I think woodworking just kind of related to that too. So it was a pretty easy transition for me, just another outlet to be able to make something.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know, if you have that creative gene and you want to have a hobby, which could lead to something more, I think woodworking is a great thing. So what about your YouTube channel? When did you decide I'm going to start sharing what I do on YouTube?
You know, whatever. I kind of pushed back against it for a while. And mainly because I wasn't really sure the vision of that. Like, what am I going to get out of doing YouTube if I started doing it? So originally when I started it, it was that I would make stuff for customers, and I would get questions about it. And, oh, well, how'd you do this? How'd you do that? And I thought maybe something extra would be if I made a quick video to show like how I did it. And, you know, I didn't expect a lot out of it, maybe a lot of voiceover, that sort of thing. Not really a whole lot of camera presence, but the idea was that someone who then bought a box from me could also kind of see the process of how the box was made. And that really went over pretty well for people that wanted things like wedding gifts and that sort of thing. But as I got a couple videos in, I was like, you know what? I'm kind of getting something else out of this. Again, it goes back to that creativity part of that artistic part of it's another outlet. Making the video is just as important as making the project itself, as far as creativity and outlet and how you're going to present your stuff. So it was a couple videos in, I went, okay, I need to shift this because this is going to be more, I can make this more about what I want to do and not necessarily for a customer. And then I got to the point where I just stopped making stuff for customers because I just enjoyed the video making process more. So that's where I really shifted away from that and just invested into the types of content I wanted to make or what I wanted to see compared to what I thought a customer would want to see.
Yeah. So you've been making stuff on commission for how many years now?
I think I did it for about 4 years or so, but now it's got to the point where I rarely take it, which is good for me because I like to make a lot of different stuff. We just talked about boxes, but I don't want to make the same exact box every
No.
single time, you know? And, you know, after several years of doing it, I was like, just don't want to make the same thing over and over again. And what I found was if you want to be really successful at selling things, then a big component of that is batching things out and making a lot of the same thing and figuring out ways to make that process as efficient and cost effective as possible. And I did that for a while, but then I'm like, man, this is the 150th box I made of this exact same box, you know, and again, that's what I started shifting into. I'm getting more and more out of this YouTube as far as satisfaction goes in the video making process. And as the channel is growing, I don't need to sell as many things. I can actually focus more on the content that I'm making. So I just sort of gradually got out of it. I'll still take some things every once in a while. It just has to be something that I look at and I go, that's pretty cool. I'm really interested in making that. So sometimes I'll do it, but definitely not the bulk of the stuff anymore.
Yeah. Now, one thing's, you know, and I've been watching videos from your channel, your main channel for a while, but I really haven't been over to your secondary channel until recently. What's I don't know how many people are familiar with the secondary channel. It's Newton Makes Art. So what's the focus of that channel, and what would you tell someone that might be interested in going to see it?
Yes, so that's a channel that's dedicated to scroll saw projects. And I was watching your countdown. You got a lot of good interviews there, and a lot of really good advice packed into that, like 12 minutes worth of countdown. And one of them was Steve Ramsey talking about that, you know, he would love it if you went to a channel and you had all this different content. Me too, absolutely. But it really feels like, at least over the last year or two, YouTube has really wanted you to make the same type of content over and over and over again. So I love doing the scroll saw projects. I find them super fun, personally satisfying. I would make them and put them out on my main channel, and simply they just weren't really getting any traction. And the amount of views that I would get off those was just atrocious compared to the views of the other projects. And I totally get it. That's kind of its own little niche there, scroll saw stuff. And then the scroll saw stuff I make is kind of nerdy too. So maybe that's another reason for it. You know, but YouTube, it feels like, at least, that there could be a little bit of a penalty against you if you've got a couple of videos that come out that just don't do well compared to other videos. So, you know, I noticed that there's a lot of other channels out there in different mediums, not necessarily in woodworking, where they've had to start second and third channels for certain types of content. So that's when I decided, hey, let me launch this new channel. And I just have my scroll saw projects on there. No pressure. I don't have to make a video every single week. It's whatever I'm motivated and excited about making something, I'll put it on there. And those projects take a long time to make anyway. So it allows me to keep making the stuff I'm making for my main channel. And then just in the background, I can piddle around and do my scroll saw stuff. And whenever that's done, post it over on that channel. So you still get that creative itch of making videos and everything, but less pressure to make sure that, you know, you get 1,000 views an hour or something, or, you know, whatever your goal is, you know, for your channel.
Yeah, that's kind of the YouTube strategy now. You know, you keep things on your channel and make similar things to keep your audience coming back.
Right.
So I think it makes sense, and I think scroll saw work is great. I just got a scroll saw myself, but I do think that that's a smaller niche because fewer woodworkers have a scroll saw. You know, you have your bandsaw folks, you got your scroll saw folks, each one with different challenges. There's a good question here. Mm-hmm. Do you plan and script out your videos, or just get in the shop and wing it?
I wing every aspect of those videos. Every bit of it. the whole design of a project, it's rare that I have a full idea in my head of what I'm going to make. All of it is completely on the fly. And maybe that's maybe if I didn't do that, I'd be able to make videos faster. But when I'm looking at stuff, if you see me on a video and I'm like, yeah, I think I could do this, or maybe I'll put a curve here, or whatever, I'm literally thinking that as I'm making the video. So there's no script to it, and I try to show as much of the brainstorming process as I can without it being too boring in the video. But I find that fun, like I guess more entertaining for me as a builder, is to just jump in and look at the piece and go, maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll do that, and not really think 10 steps ahead. Just think of a couple. For most projects, if you're dealing with something super complex and you got to do that, hey, sometimes you got to do that. But not me. I'll just go step by step and wing it.
Yeah. So you, whenever you're winging it like that and you're thinking about what's on the camera, how much forethought goes into how am I going to edit this whenever the video is done, whenever I'm done making the project, how much forethought goes into how am I going to put this together in the editing?
I have to edit as I go. That's what I've learned. I've tried to do it where I filmed everything and then edit afterwards, and it ends up being just a weird mess of stuff. So what I learned was that I have to build time into it, so that if I'm working on something, the glue is drying, I'll edit what I have already filmed. And then that way, whenever I get back in the shop again, I can quickly just look and see what the last clip was. Okay, this is what I was doing. Here's where I was at. Let's go from there. And I also will, I don't know how other people do it. I've never been in someone else's shop as they're filming, but I will look at my camera screen after I filmed it. I'll just look at the back of the camera and look at the little screen and play it on my camera and go, okay, yeah, I liked how that was. Okay, I know where I'm going to use that piece right there and kind of get an idea. So I'm kind of editing on the camera itself without editing, like changing the video. And then whenever I finally get to sit down at my computer, edit the clips, whatever I have. It could be 2, 3, 4, 5. Have them rough edited, not finalized, but rough edited, so I kind of know what I'm saving, and then go back to work. And my computer, my workstation, everything's here in the shop too, so it's not really hard to just walk over there and sit down and do it. But I've got to do that the way that I film. Otherwise, I'm like, I've got hours worth of stuff here, and I don't know what to keep. So it keeps me in check at least.
Well, that's good that you can do it as you go along and kind of piece it together. So whenever you start a project, you seem to start with at least a concept of what you're going to make, but you're very on the fly with that thought process. I'm gonna make this curve a little bit deeper than I originally thought, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Have you always worked like that? Is that the same kind of approach that you put into your videos as well?
Yeah, I think so, because if you watch some of my videos, some of them might be shorter, some might be longer. Some of them might have some voiceover, some of them might not have voiceover. And I'm just going off the feel of the project. And admittedly, maybe some viewers don't like that. Maybe they want to have that consistency and know exactly what they're getting every single time. But I kind of treat each video and each project in a vacuum. What does this one need? And the end result's the end result. I always strive to have the best thing I could have, but it's definitely not all planned out. There are certain parts of it you kind of have to have an idea of what you're going to do. If you're going to make like some sort of curved tray, well, I need to kind of get an idea of how I'm going to do this curve. Maybe, quickly draw up a template or something, print that off, and then jump into the video. Hey, here's what I got. So you saw how much planning I did was just, I know I'm going to make a curved tray. I made a little template here. Let's go forward with it and see what we do. There's definitely quite a few times in a video, you don't see it, I don't film it, where I'm just standing there staring at the lumber or staring at, my tool, kind of just thinking, like, What do I do now? What do I do now? But it's the process that works for me. I don't know. I'd probably drive some other makers crazy if they had to work in my shop.
So what kind of camera and audio equipment are you using to make your videos?
I have a Canon R6 that I film. Film in 4K, and then I use a Rode lav mic on me. And so that setup's worked really well. I've thought about going to some other setups and did some research and everything, but I keep just going back to what I've got. Reached out to some other creators too to find out what they're working with, and I think that's kind of standard, especially the Rode lav mic. I think that's a really standard one across the board for woodworkers. One other thing though is whenever I'm making videos, and it's a goal of mine going forward too, is I like to get in front of the camera and make it a little bit more personal as I'm talking to you, instead of just having a camera set up in the shop and it's filming and I'm just doing voiceover. It doesn't feel as personal as what it could be, where I want you to feel like you are in the shop and we're all brainstorming and working on this project together. Well, when I do that though, I can't, it's hard to use like a shotgun mic or something. I need to have a lav mic on me because there's no telling where I'm going to be at in the shop or where I got to set the camera up, that sort of thing. So that's how I kind of got to the setup that I have. When I do voiceover, I used to use like a Yeti mic on my desk, which is what I'm using right now. But I started just doing it where if I'm doing voiceover, I just keep my lav mic on and we'll talk. And a lot of times I will film that like I am now. I'll stand in front of the camera and I'll film and I'm looking at the camera and I'm talking about what I'm doing. And then whenever I go to edit, I might show me on camera talking it, or I might just throw some video up, the B-roll up, and you just see me cutting boards or whatever. But then I make sure that my audio is consistent. So you're not hearing two different microphones,
Right.
so it provides a little bit more consistency. And I can hear it in my ears. I don't know if other people would notice it or not.
Right. And what software are you editing with?
Premiere Pro. So I'm a Windows person. Self-taught. I didn't take any sort of classes on Premiere Pro or anything, but there's a lot of resources out there on YouTube to learn. So that's how I picked it up.
Yeah. So let's talk tools, because one thing I've noticed by watching your channel is you're not a tool snob. You've got Harbor Freight equipment in your shop.
I do. Yeah.
And what's now one thing that comes to mind is your disc sander. Which you mentioned in a previous video that it was a hidden gem at Harbor Freight. What other gems do you think are out there at Harbor Freight that you know of?
I think it's a good place for clamps. That's always good. I mean, especially because you need so many clamps. Yeah. So Harbor Freight's good for that sort of stuff. There are a couple things I've looked at, like I know they've got hydraulic lifts and that kind of stuff that I'm really interested in checking out. I've got a chainsaw chain sharpener from them that works fantastic. So that's great. I got another metal cutoff saw for cutting like brass and other metals and stuff, and that works great. So they definitely have some good stuff. I've got some expensive tools, but they don't have to be all certain brand tools. It's like, hey, is that the best tool? That's the tool that works for me? Cool. And that disc sander, had it for a while and it kicks butt. I tell you, it's a good one.
Good. So let's switch gears to the non-Harbor Freight stuff. What's your favorite tool to work with in your shop?
Good question. I'm gonna probably say my drum sander, and that's one of the newer tools. I've had it for a couple of years, I think now, and I didn't realize how much I would like it, like how much it just helps out whatever I'm doing. So now I use it. I feel like I'm using it almost every day for something, especially whenever I'm doing the scroll saw projects. I'm constantly using the drum sander. So that's one that I really wish I would have got much earlier on. But that's just because of the type of woodworking that I do. Other people might not have that. And and probably another one that I just really like is simply the joiner. It does its one thing and it does it really well. And I just, there's something about that simplicity that I really appreciate.
And what brand is your joiner?
I've got I got a Jet 8-inch helical head joiner, and solid tool, no issues with it at all. Really glad that I went with the helical head. It's a little bit more expensive, but to me, it was definitely worth it. And if anybody's looking at getting a joiner, I'll probably say the same thing that everyone says, which is you can't go too big. If you got a 6-inch joiner, you want an 8. If you got an 8, you want like a 12. It definitely want it.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you could purchase any tool right now, if money was no object, what would you go get?
I think I would probably upgrade. My planer. I think I use a DeWalt lunchbox planer, and I've got super expensive CNC that I rarely touch, but I got my old DeWalt lunchbox planer that kicks butt. But I would probably upgrade the planer, not for any particular reason other than that it is a screaming banshee of a tool. It is so loud, and it would be nice to have something that's a little bit quieter and it has a wider capacity. So probably that, based off of what I typically use in the shop. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So So those are your tools. What kind of skill set are you thinking of that you want to develop next? I'm hitting you with all the hard questions.
I know. Yeah, I wasn't anticipating that one. It might be a cop out, but creativity. I think that we can always. I think that creativity is not just something that you're born with. I think that we can work and become more creative people. It's like how do we exercise that muscle? How do we put ourselves in a situation where it allows us to be more creative? And I try to be as creative as I can. I feel like I'm fairly decent at it, but I can always get better at it. And there are so many times I'll see somebody make something and I'll go, why didn't I think of that? Oh, that's so good. Oh, so if I had some sort of, I don't know, wishing lamp or something like that, probably creativity, because I think that would then turn around and have an impact on all the actual physical woodworking skills that I would apply to that.
Nice. All right. I'm going to try sharing the shirt again. So I'm going to give you a break because I've had you talk about 25 minutes straight there. So everyone, I ordered a t-shirt from the folks at Sticker Mule, where I order my stickers from, and it arrived in the mail today. It comes with a couple of sample stickers in case you're interested, and it's a custom designed t-shirt, and you can see how it came out. Now they have other colors, but this one was on sale. So for $14 and no shipping, I got this. I think regular, this shirt was only like $19 or $20. And they usually ship it including that. And you just upload your design, or I think they have a studio thing that you can work on a design and have it printed on the shirt. I am not affiliated with Sticker Mule and do not get any kind of kickback, and I don't even have a link to give you. If you want a link, I think I can get you one that might be some kind of discount, but it's not an affiliate link. So just thought I would share that in case you're interested in ordering custom t-shirts. We are back, and we've got a couple of questions here from our friend over at Jarmade, and we'll start with the last question first. Is YouTube your full-time job, or do you have any side gigs like Etsy?
YouTube is not my full-time job. So I already put in my 40 hours a week in another job, and then do the YouTube stuff. And so I guess YouTube would be the side gig. So and that's probably another reason why I tried to get away from commissions. Is it's where are you going to invest your time into? So that is one thing though that I do talk to some people, and they seem to be a little bit surprised that I don't do it full time, because I put out a video just about every single week for the last 3 years, and that's a pretty arduous pace to keep up with if you're not doing it full time. But I like to make the videos, so I put in the hours for it. But no, I got to do the regular job first.
Do you ever get ahead in your videos so you can take a week or two off?
Rarely, but yes. This week I was able to. I've got on Friday I'll have a picture frame video coming out, and then I have a scroll saw video coming out the same day. Those are ones that I made a couple weeks ago. So the tray video that I just put out, that was just kind of a filler. The picture frame video just wasn't quite ready to go. I need to do a little bit more editing on it. So I made the tray, and then that gave me an extra week buffer. So it's good to be able to do it. But again, having the full-time job makes it a little bit tougher. And then if I take a week off, I always feel guilty. Like, oh, I could have made something during that time. If I know I've got to do something ahead of time, like we're going to go on vacation or something like that, then I try my best to double up projects and get them done. But usually it's week to week. I'm going to get that project done by Thursday so I can get it out on Friday.
Yeah, that's a tough schedule after working a full-time job and get quality videos out. Before I get to Jarmade's other question, you're over 85,000 subscribers on your primary channel, and you're approaching quickly that 100,000 mark. Whenever you get that silver button in hand from YouTube, what do you have planned?
I'm gonna run through my kids' bedrooms and try to force them to think I'm cool. Yeah, they because they don't watch TV, they watch YouTube, right? So no, I don't know, it's still such a weird thing to even think about 100,000. Like, it's baffling to me. I was shocked whenever I hit 1,000, and the first time I hit 1,000, I was like, 1,000 people, this is insane. So I'm hopeful that that'll happen quickly, but YouTube's a weird world. It could happen tomorrow, it could happen in 6 months. Like, there's no telling. It depends on the video you put out, and if it catches fire, and if people gravitate towards it.
Yeah, the pace is unpredictable, but
yeah,
you release the right video, it could change your life. Like Matt from 731 always says, one video can change your life.
Absolutely, and he's had some big hits.
Yeah, and so you never know, but you're growing well. So Jarmade also asked, "Are you going to Workbench Con?"
I'm not. I feel a little bit guilty about not going, because every year I tell myself I'm going to go, and every year I end up just getting bogged down with other things, like in my regular job. That time's kind of pretty busy for us and stuff, and then I end up not going. So should make myself go at some point. I really should. Everyone tells me that it's great, or it's one of the more entertaining conferences to go to.
It was great last year, and I'm looking forward to it. So Jesus also wants to know, do you want to make your full-time YouTube your full-time job?
No. No. And that's nothing against people that want to do that. It's that I've got a great job that we're fortunate. Got a really good job, a lot of job security. I can't complain about my salary. I get by. And just there's a lot of stability there. So, and I think that if I ended up doing it full time, it would maybe take the fun out of it for me a little bit, because then you're so dependent on it. And, in December, it's like, I've got so much vacation time. I'm just going to burn a bunch of vacation and I'll just make some videos and, get kind of caught up and everything. And I got COVID and I felt terrible the whole month. And if you're a full-time creator, that's a big impact.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that it would, maybe the pressure of like, you've got to always produce and you got to be spot on. I think it would change the way that I approach the videos. I think that I would end up making videos that I'm not as excited about because I'm trying to chase the views a little bit more, because that directly impacts, your livelihood and a family I got to think about. But I'm in awe of the people that can do that do it and they love it. Like that's phenomenal. Yeah.
For those that want to do it and can do it, it's fantastic. Monty Sawdust says, where do you get your ideas? Do you just make it up, or you've seen something and create it with your spin on it?
All of the above. Sometimes I'll just look at, I just look at my scrap pile of wood and something just looks like a board, looks like something. And I need to make something out of that and go that way. One thing that I do have to deal with is I have ADD, and I am very used to just all of a sudden I'm doing something. So I'm, working on something and an idea pops in my head. And next thing you know, I'm halfway through this project of something that I wasn't planning on making. So sometimes I just naturally just fall into it. If I'm looking for something to make, I don't have an idea, then what I think about is there something that is an accessible project for people? There are so many videos out there of these like mega channels that are making these $20,000 tables, something I don't have a need for it. I don't see myself ever making one. I mean, maybe, but so I look at it and go, is there a project out there that somebody would just watch it and go, I'm going to give that one a shot? I've never made that before. I made some cutting boards. I've never made a tray before. So I will gravitate towards projects that feel like they're a little bit more inviting for people to want to make. And that really goes along with my try to do my weekly schedule too, because you'd only cram so much woodworking into 1 week. So if I don't have the idea already, then I'll just kind of start thinking about those sorts of things, maybe jump on Pinterest and look at different pictures and see if there's something that sparks an idea. And sometimes you'll see you'll see something, a chair, and it has a curve to it, or maybe it's geometrical and you see these certain angles, and I'm not necessarily going to build that chair with those angles, but I look at that angle and I go, that would be cool if that angle was on this other thing. And then go from there. So it's kind of week to week. Sometimes I've got like 1,000 ideas in my head, and then sometimes I have none, and just kind of figure it all out.
Yeah. So Monty Sawdust had a follow-up question about the candy dispenser. Where'd that come from?
I don't know. I just wanted to make one. I have no idea. And I'm not a big candy person. I don't really eat a lot of sweets. But there's just something about it. Like I saw a picture of this really simple candy dispenser, and it was like literally it was like this big, and it had side of a wheel. There was nothing fancy about it at all. And I was like, I really want to make a candy dispenser. And I sat on that idea for like 2 years of I really want to make one. I really want to make one. But as I talked about, I don't necessarily plan out a lot of my projects ahead of time. And I knew I would have to sit down and plan that one. So I kept putting it off. And finally I was like, nope, that's it. I'm going to make it. And went from there. And I was happy with how it turned out. But that's one of the rare projects that I had to do some thinking ahead of time, make sure I got that right. And I had to jump into Fusion 360 and do some mock-ups and everything to not screw it up.
Yeah, the Dancing Alone with Reynolds says, I was just about to ask whether you travel with YouTube ideas.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think we all get our ideas from different places, right? Like it depends on how your brain works, what works for you. And I keep a list on my phone, and a list on my computer, and a list on paper. I got lists all over the place of just random ideas, whatever it hits me. And no matter where I'm at or what I'm doing, I'm in the shop, whatever, and I get some idea, I'll stop and write it down. And because you never know whenever you do that later.
Yeah. What about sponsors? What's your thoughts on sponsors, and what kind of deals have you come to?
If you notice, I don't do a lot of sponsorships.
I've noticed.
Yeah, in my videos. Nothing against sponsorships whatsoever. I'll say that I turn down free tools on an almost daily basis. If you want to get free tools, make a YouTube channel and build it, and you will get free tools nonstop. But I don't want to ever put my name on something that I feel like is crap, because it's my name. And so there's sponsorships I just haven't been interested in. They don't gravitate towards my customers, or which are the viewers. I've had people, businesses reach out and want me to talk about certain things, and I go, I got an audience of makers. They don't care about whatever this other thing is. Like that, it doesn't correlate. You need to be going to you need to go to like a clothing channel, like not me. So I'll turn that kind of stuff down. And then I said, a lot of the tools I don't take, because if I have to really believe in that tool and that brand, and I've used it and I know it before I'm going to put my name behind it. And I don't want to push something that I feel like is inferior. And it's probably another reason why you see that I don't do a lot of tool reviews videos either. I want to be able to use that tool a long time and make sure that it is that what I liked and what I didn't like, and then provide my feedback that way. And it's really hard if you take a bunch of tools from a sponsor. It's commendable if you can do that and make sure you're staying 100% on the up and up, because there's that built-in pressure of maybe I shouldn't say this or shouldn't say that, and I don't ever want to be in that spot. So I don't do a whole lot of sponsorships. Maybe they'll come. Maybe I'll do more in the future. There's a couple companies out there that I know that are other makers have told me are great companies to work with when it comes to sponsorships. And maybe I'll do something in the future. But right now, I haven't chased them. I don't reach out to companies. If they reach out to me, then I'll talk to them. But it's not something that is listed on my priority list. Instead, I just focus on making a video that I feel like I would want to watch, and just go off that.
Yeah, I want to make sure you see this. Hopefully, before Jarmaid signs off, he says, "I have to take off. I wanted to say you are one of my favorite woodworking channels to watch. Newton makes hand purple blue piece."
Very, very kind of you to say. That's really cool. I totally dig that.
Yeah, one of the rewarding things in YouTube can be the one of the most personally devastating things is the comment section on the videos. What kind of? I know you've never seen a bad comment, but for the good comments, how do you how does that motivate you, or are you level set no matter what the feedback is?
The positive comments, and there's definitely plenty of them. I'm always shocked. I'm always shocked because if you're gonna comment on something, that it takes energy. It burns calories for you to go out of your way to say something positive or negative about somebody else. If somebody comes to you and gives you a compliment, just personally, they walk up to you and they give you a compliment, it took effort and energy that person did not have to give in order to do that. So whenever I see somebody make a positive comment, I'm like, wow, that's really cool. Like I seriously, every one of them, I go, wow. I don't gloss over them. I don't like take it for granted or anything. I truly am in awe of all of those positive comments, and I appreciate it. Boy, do I get plenty of negative ones, but all of us do. Anybody who has a YouTube channel gets a lot of negative comments too, because people are going to either be fans of yours and what you do, or that video really resonated, or not, and they're not happy about something, and they just kind of fly off the handle. So the way that I've tackled comments has changed. I used to read every single comment and stay on top of it, but as I've made more videos, it's just not possible to do that anymore. It's there's too many comments in general. But what I also notice is that there's a pattern to comments. The people that really want to watch your stuff, that watch your stuff on a routine basis, if they're going to comment, they usually comment early. The comments that you get 6 months from now, the positivity goes down, and you end up getting, at least for me, I get more of a ratio of comments that are not so positive. So I kind of find myself of like, just keep reading these, and they're all kind of the same. So so I'll look at comments for like the first week of a video, and after that, I might see one or two when they pop up, but I don't actively look at them after that.
Yeah. So what you were saying about it takes energy. Well, doing anything is always more difficult than doing nothing. Anybody can do nothing. You could watch YouTube all day long and not leave a single comment. But if you take the time to leave a comment, especially a positive one, it really means something. Mm-hmm. So I applaud your attitude about that. One of your videos, if I remember correctly, has over 815,000 views. Does that sound right? I could look it up.
Yeah.
But, what do you think was? Why did that video do so well?
Because it made people mad.
Okay.
I say that jokingly, but there's a grain of truth in there. So I made that video, and it was find woodworking from a 2x4. That was the plan. Can I make something nice out of a 2x4? And that is the only video that I know of that I've ever turned the comment section off. The comment section became so I was shocked at the vile comments that were in. I've never seen anything like it. It was unbelievable. And then there was nothing I did that was like outlandish. I literally just I took a 2x4 and I made like some boxes out of it, and I talked about how many boxes I could potentially make out of this one 2x4. And then it's like, based off how I sell boxes and the prices I get for boxes and how I do them, I'd probably make about this much money, I think, off of that, estimated. All of it was true. This is exactly how it was. But that didn't sit well for some people. And I think part of that too was right after I did that video, and right after is when, like a few months later, you had the big spike in lumber prices. So then it became, well, a 2x4 costs X amount of money. And it just, the video, the comments just took a complete other turn to it. And the only reason why I talk about the comments because we just came off that conversation about it. But I think them being able to see a thumbnail and a title that talks about, can you do fine woodworking from a 2x4? I think that just made people want to click. And that's, I think that's my highest video that is not a short. I have a short that got a bazillion views, but that's the longest like regular video that I've had.
Yeah, so I think the title was good, but the thumbnail itself was genius. If I remember correctly, it's just a 2x4. It's got like $250 written on it, and it's the kind of thing that's going to get some clicks, Yeah. And but I'm surprised at how many negative comments you got.
Me too. But it elicited a response. But so what I did was, a year later, on that exact day, I released a follow-up video where I talked about that video and how it went, and that video did well too. So and the response to that was a complete night and day. It was really great. A lot of positive comments, a lot of people agreeing with it, and so that went really well. So I think that was just a weird circumstance on that one.
YouTube fed it to the right audience, I guess.
Yeah.
Here's a question from 413 Furniture Builds. Always appreciate 413 being here. How do you deal with negative comments?
Ignore them. Don't give the person any sort of attention. The very few times that I would reply to a negative comment is when I'm replying, but it's not for them. I'm talking to the other commenters. Like somebody puts out something that I feel like is so blatantly not true that it has to be, so the air has to be cleared out. I've got to say something, but that is so rare. I just ignore them because that's the best you can do. And I also try to tell myself, that person, I've never met that person. They don't know me. They've never been to my shop. And I'm going to try to seek advice from people that I look up to or admire what they do. If I'm not willing to take advice from you, I'm probably not willing to take vitriol from you. And that helps me to just mentally deal with that kind of stuff and push it off to the side.
Yeah. And I have no qualms, no issue at all with people putting comments in there that disagree with me. But if you get personal about something, then and take it too far, then I'll delete the comment. I mean,
I ban people all the time.
Yeah.
I've never banned anybody for disagreeing whatsoever. It's whenever people start getting into like name calling or that kind of stuff, I ban it. We just talked about sponsorships and stuff like that, and I don't have very many. And I think the last person I banned, it just comes to mind because it was the last person I banned, was like ranting on and on, like 3 or 4 posts in the 3 or 4 comments in the same video about how like my entire channel was fake and it was all just a big advertisement for a bunch of companies. And I was like, just get out of here. You've already made your comment. You commented 4 times in one video. Just get out of here. And I'll ban people like that. But otherwise, if people disagree or whatever, like, okay, cool. Like that. There's a million ways. That's the great thing about woodworking. There's a million ways for us to do the same thing. So it's okay if we disagree.
Yeah, that's always true, isn't it? There's just we're sharing a minimal way of doing something.
Yeah.
Anything on your channel, there's another way. I mean, one of our regular viewers, Friday Workshop, they don't even use a table saw. They use a bandsaw that can do everything a table saw can do, according to them. But most of us like our table saw.
Yeah.
So, this is the beginning of the year. A lot of people make New Year goals, New Year resolutions. But where do you want the channel to go? What's your goal? Where do you see it going in the future?
A couple things as far as the videos go. I want to make sure that I'm making videos that inspire me, because it is really, really easy to fall into a habit of making a video simply to get certain views. And it's tempting. It's a tempting apple there. And I always remind myself, okay, no, make a video of something that you want to make. So that will always be my goal. And I'm always try to remind myself at the beginning of the year about that. And then a lot of the other goals I have are more of like just working on my space that I'm in. I want it to be more of an inviting space, more of a creative space that sparks creativity a little bit more. So ideally, I would like to do some shop improvements, just change things around the shop. It could be layout, it could be aesthetics and paint or whatever else. But just if the space I'm in sparks creativity, I think that's going to then lead to making the videos that I want to make. So I did do a kind of a goals video for Patreon and laid out, hey, there's what my goals were. And it was these. It was just make the videos that I want to make. Don't get too distracted by feeling like I need to make tool review videos every week and tips and trick videos every single week. And because those are the ones that really get a ton of views. Instead, it's okay if I want to make 2 boxes in a row because I'm really, really pumped up about what I'm making. That's okay. And just remind myself that if you're making the videos, the projects you want to make, that level of enthusiasm, passion about it will come across better than trying to make something that you making a video of something you don't really care about.
Yeah. It's I think that's part of why you come across so genuine in your videos. You don't come across like, come on guys, I need more views. Share this, make sure you watch it to the end. It seems like there's a big trend for that. I like the concept of asking, reminding people that it really helps channel if you like and subscribe if you want to. Like right now, if you're getting anything out of this, go ahead and like and subscribe. Right. I'd appreciate it. But if you're here, I want you here because you want to be. So, Bill, you've got some things on your website. Can we talk about those briefly?
Yeah.
You've got the R&D Laboratory,
yes,
which is a catchy name. What can we find at the R&D Laboratory?
That's where I'm trying to put more long form content that it's just not right for YouTube. Like for instance, if I make a class on something, like I made a class on how to make a watch display case, and I went over every little detail of that project, walk you step by step. There's I think 9 or 10 videos just to make that one project, long videos, but we go over every little detail. That's something that there's no way I could put on YouTube. Not a chance. That's on there. And then, but I also made a 3-video series on how to make templates using Inkscape, how to download Inkscape, and I have no affiliation with Inkscape at all, but how can you use this to make your own templates online, or take a picture you found and turn it to a black and white picture so you can do something with it. And it's on the site for free. So my goal is, when there are certain things that, a class or something I'm really passionate about that I want to be able to put on there, that gives me the opportunity to do that. And I want to make sure that those things that are on there are as affordable as possible. Because, I've been in that boat where, especially when you're trying to start off with something in woodworking, and everything's so expensive. And there were classes that I wanted to take that I couldn't afford, so I didn't take them, and I had to try to figure out ways around it. So when I was like, I get a lot of questions about how to make templates. Let me make a class on that, and let me make it for free. It's just on there. Click on it, go to it, watch the 3 videos. I go over a bazillion details on it. That's what I'm trying to do. So right now I'm in the middle of a picture frame class that will ultimately be on there. I don't have an end date set. I just keep making different types of picture frames, and eventually, whenever I get enough that I feel like is really, really good, then I'll stick it on there. But I'll try to make that as affordable as possible too, because everything else is so expensive, and just got to kind of spread the knowledge about stuff. And I also just really dig watching people make stuff, and I really love it whenever they do. Like the watch display case, there are a ton of people took the class, and it was so awesome to see them then turn around and send me pictures of what they made. And it's like, I don't know. It always makes me feel really good to be able to see that.
That would be very rewarding.
Yeah.
So we've had viewers ask before, how do you make plans? So they could use this as a guide and go make their own plans.
Yeah. So this is so if you click on the Inkscape for Makers there, and there's 3 videos in there, and I talk about, I use Inkscape. I do have Adobe Illustrator too, so I pay for Adobe Illustrator, but 99% of the time I use Inkscape, and it's a free software. So no affiliation with them. I just really like the software, and I use that to do just about any of my vector graphics. So if I'm making a template for something, anytime you see me in a video where I go, I made a template, I made it in Inkscape. The candy dispenser, drew up some of my diagrams in Inkscape. So I'm constantly messing around with that. Any of my scroll saw projects, all of that is all in Inkscape too. So if you're looking for like, how do I draw something so I don't have to take a pencil and draw it? How do I make something perfectly laid out where it has these curves I want or the shape that I want, and I could print it out? That's what that class will teach you, how to make those things. Or if you found some sort of picture online and you go, ooh, I really like this clip art picture, but I want to be able to modify that. I want to be able to take that and then turn it into wood. How can I take it from that and make it into something that's usable? And I just got a lot of questions about it. So I said, I'll make a class on it. Hopefully that'll help people. And so far the feedback is that it helps people a lot. So, maybe I'll end up doing follow-ups depending on what more questions I get on it.
Yeah, that would be great. Now, the link for your links is in the description. So everybody should go check that out. I thought the R&D laboratory was really interesting. You have other things on your website. What else do you have out there?
I got a ton of templates, ton of free templates. So there's some woodworking plans on there, cutting board plans, table plans, things that I've made that I'll put on there. But sometimes there's just, I had to make a quick template so I could get the right curve for this bottom of this box. I did it, and I go, well, I went through all the work of making the template. Let's just put it on my website for free. People could download it. Let them make something too. So there's quite a bit on there that are just free downloads that people can go after. And so all of that's on there. Any of the videos that I make, I also put on the website as well in my blog. And I'm supposed to put like a portfolio of my work on there, but I'm like 2 years behind. I don't ever get to take pictures of my stuff and put it on there. So I'm pretty far behind on that one. And then I have a newsletter that I send out every week. Try to send out every week. So there's like a subscription button that you could click on to be added to the newsletter as well. So I totally dig the site. I think if you're looking at YouTube or online creation, and that's a thing you really dig, get a website. There's so many possibilities. Get a website.
Yeah. Again, just want to remind people that the link to your links, the link to this page, which has all your links, is in the description of this live stream. And there's a lot of resources out there that Billy has made available to you at little or no cost, which I really appreciate. But it's got all your Instagram, Facebook links as well. So I really appreciate that, Billy. What advice would you give to someone starting a YouTube channel that wanted to focus on being a maker and so forth? What kind of advice would you give them?
Think about the type of video that you want to make. Film it. And maybe don't even publish it. Just make the video. Go through the process of making a video. What I noticed was that during the COVID time, it seemed like there was a lot of channels that popped up. And they put out like 1 or 2 videos, and then it just kind of died from there. And that's people testing the water to see if that's what works for them. And I think everyone kind of has to do that. Try it and see. And so if you go through the process of making the video, and then said, even if you don't publish it, you made it, you watched it, and you go, okay, how did I enjoy that? And is that the type of video I truly want to make? And then reassess. And if it is something that you want to make, or you go, well, not that, but I want to make XYZ, then you progress to that. If you want to see some really terrible videos, go back and watch my very first ones. They are rough, but everyone's rough at the beginning. So then my second advice would be, don't be too hard on yourself. Your first videos are not going to be excellent unless you got a bunch of people helping you. You have really good mentors or something like that. You invested a ton into it, or you've got some sort of background in it. Odds are your first videos are going to be kind of rough, and that's okay. It's absolutely okay. Because I've seen some videos that have a bazillion views that people really gravitate towards. You look at it and you're like, that was filmed on a really grainy phone. Didn't matter. It was the right video, and it hit people the right way. And you never know when you're going to be able to do that. If you are yourself in the video, I think people are going to gravitate towards that more than if you're trying to do what someone else is doing. So it's really, really easy to watch someone else's videos and see their style and how they present themselves, the jokes they make, whatever they do. And then you try to emulate that. And I think there's a lot of value in learning from each other, but you don't want to be a second rate anyone else. You want to be yourself. And you're going to get way more out of it than trying to copy other people. So, you kind of got to figure out what you want to do and what your style is going to be and how you want your videos, and not be afraid to change them. And you're going to change as a person. I hope you change as a person. I hope you grow as a person. I hope you grow as a maker. Your videos and the style of your video should probably grow too. And then probably after that, I would say, just prepare yourself for not getting instant success. It's going to be slow, probably. I mean, some people are lucky and they get that smash hit right off the bat, but odds are videos are going to be kind of slow to start. It's going to take a while to really get off the ground. I think I probably had 100 subscribers for like my first 6 months. It took a long time. I think it probably took me a year to get 1,000. It was grueling trying to get there. But if it's something you're enjoying doing, it's fine. Just keep working at it and working at it. And then eventually it'll work out. It'll come. But don't expect that, and don't expect that all your feedback's going to be positive. You're going to get the trolls, you're going to get all that kind of stuff. And as long as you have realistic expectations as you're making your channel, I think you're setting yourself up for success there.
It makes me think of your video where you went back and looked at some of your first projects,
Yeah.
The humidor, the chest for the dartboard, I believe it was, and talked about the lessons you learned since that time and how you were afraid to mess up, so you messed up.
Yes. Yes.
And now you learn that making mistakes is just part of the process. It's can be the fun part of the process, because you can work around your mistakes and have the attitude that it was meant to work out that way, and you can always put the bad side towards the wall. So the same thing with videos, I believe. You start out, if you worry about trying to get 100,000 views on your first video, you may fall into analysis paralysis, where you are studying how to make videos more than making videos, and that can leave you without any views.
Absolutely. And there are times you're going to put out a video, and as you're making that video, as you're editing it, you're watching it, and you're going to think to yourself, this is hot garbage. And it's rocking. I love it. And from my experience, neither one of those translates to positive or positivity or negativity. There are some of the videos that I put out that were what I would consider hits, were videos that I thought were trash. I wasn't happy about them for some reason. Could have been anything. Just wasn't happy with how it looked when I hit publish. And ended up doing great. There are other videos that I am super proud of. I love the way they were. I was like, man, I love how I did this and this and this. No one watched them. And that's okay, because I still got the satisfaction that that's the video that I really, really liked to make. So just kind of steel yourself into the idea that you're going to have stuff that you're going to be really pumped up about, you're really proud of, and some videos that you're not so much, but keep working towards it, and you're going to get the success that you want.
Billy, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. You're awesome. And I'm looking forward to your next video, as always.
Thank you very much for having me.
I really do appreciate it. You have anything final to say to everybody?
Just thank you. Thank you for watching. If you want to check out my stuff, cool. If you want to check out other people's stuff, cool. But make sure you're getting your shop. Make something cool. Spend some time with the family. This week, do something fun. Do something for you. Do something for your family. We take ourselves way too serious. And that's going to impact everything that you do and translate it over into the shop. So thank you so much for this. This was a blast. I really liked it.
Thank you, Billy. Everybody, that's your challenge this week. Go do something fun. Go make it happen.
Do it.
I hear my wife calling. I got to go.
All right.
There ain't another girl like her in the city. No, she looks so good, but she ain't so pretty. flame. But I'm the ride, she's driving insane. And don't you know you oughta pump the brakes? I can't tell you why don't you let it go. I'm the line and if finally I'ma let you know you're somewhere in between my legs. Hey, you know there ain't another girl like her in the city. Yeah, yeah, you know she looks so good, but she ain't so pretty. I can't believe I wrote so long. With this whole time you riding me wrong. Don't you know you oughta take a rest, try your best, give it to me straight. And don't deny your reply, I don't wanna wait. We're at the end of the road, it's time to let go of everything. There ain't another girl like her in the city. No, no, you know she looks so good, but she ain't so pretty. So leave me alone before I end it all here. Wonderful, another reason to be had. One night for a while. This is where I live. You don't have to speak. There's no room for goodbyes or desperate lies between the teeth. That's just how it goes. Everybody knows there's no room for your games. And I remains. There ain't another girl like her in the city. Yeah, I know, you know she looks so good, but she ain't so pretty. So leave me alone before I end it out here. Wonderful, with another reason to be here. One night for a while. There ain't another girl, ain't another girl, ain't another girl. There ain't another girl, ain't another girl, ain't another girl.
Saw that there was a gap in the market.
working to become more natural. That's just the more you do it, the more comfortable I do think it's important that, as much as I'm not really a fan of saying having the avatar behind the camera, I do think it helps to imagine that you're actually talking to somebody who will be watching the video. Sometimes it's easy to forget that you see numbers of people watching, but you forget that these are actual people watching your video on their phone or on their TV or wherever. And I think it's important to keep that in mind.